gonna get started. I don't know if you can hear me or if my microphone's working or not, but we're gonna, all right. It's 8:32. We're gonna get started here in the next minute or two. Let everyone get to their seats. I don't know that the folks on, online can hear us, Natasha.
Disney? That is.
Oh, how do I do that?
I bet it was.
What time is it, Commissioner Boakowski?
8:32.
Where'd Natasha go?
Placard was the last time.
I'm glad to see,
Or Pam?
Mr. Warren is, ready to go and all propped up.
That's where I got that from.
I'm waiting patiently.
By the stand, can you just take over?
Can you guys hear me now?
I think you should call the meeting together.
I'm gonna move.
Can you online hear me now? No.
What's that?
Properly say.
Okay, we're good now. Can those in the
Okay, now
virtual
they're
world
good.
hear us?
All right. I better mute myself, Mr. Morgan, or we're gonna get in trouble.
Can virtual world hear us here at Kent County? Hello? Any
Loud
of
and
you?
clear.
Give me a thumbs up. One of you. All right. Thanks, Steve Warren.
Loud and clear.
All right. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. We're still in funky phase where we've got half-seas here and half-seas in virtual world. So welcome. I don't know if you all are going to see our faces. It looks like you will see our illustrious, there we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. We are opening up the Kent County Board of Commissioners meeting for Thursday, May 27th. And I would call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Good morning, Madam Chair. And for those of you attending virtually, just a reminder to state your location as well. Commissioners Antor.
Here, Sparta, Michigan.
Breivy. Bulkowski.
Present on Anishinaabe land known as Grand Rapids, Michigan, Kent County.
Burl. Here. Green. Here. Hennessy. Here. Jones. Here. Coleman. Here. LeGrand.
Here, I am in Ithaca, New York, Tompkins County.
Commissioner, could you repeat the city, please?
Ithaca, New York.
Thank you. Commissioner McLeod.
Here, Kentwood, Michigan.
Recording in progress.
Morgan.
I'm here, Cortland Township.
Onstein.
What's with the?
Here, Granville, Michigan.
Skaggs. Sparks.
Present, Kent County, Kentwood, Michigan.
Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Teal. Womack.
Here, Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49507.
Wooden. Chair Bolter.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have 19 yeas, or 19 members present, 0 absent. You have a quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. I'll now call on Commissioner LeGrand for the invocation.
Thank you. I am reading a prayer that I like very much, and this comes from an Episcopalian worship resource, and I will begin now. Thank you very much. God of hope, help us who struggle in our daily work. When we lose our purpose, renew our hope in you. When we bow to hatred, renew our trust in you. When we despair of bliss, renew our joy in you. When we take offense at others, renew our life in you. When we compromise our values, renew our faith in you. When we cherish regrets, renew our freedom in you. When we surrender to despair, renew our hope in you. And as we accept your renewing love, we offer our prayers to you. Hold us, hold all people, and I ask today to hold Kent County and the leaders who are doing their best to keep it moving forward in your loving care, that we may be a hope for others. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the joys of virtual. All right, we're on to item 5 of our agenda today, our special order of business, and we have Steve Warren here. Welcome, Mr. Warren, Managing Director of the Kent County Road Commission, for your annual 10-minute update. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to be here.
That's going to be really hard to listen to, I'll tell you.
And I am about to share my screen.
All right.
Such is the challenge of COVID here these last 15 months, and we're still refining our abilities to zoom in with our presentation. So if you just give me 1 minute here. Okay, well, thank you very much. Again, it's a pleasure to once again present our annual update from the Kent County Road Commission. I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about our budget, our expenditures, to give you, the commissioners, and others who are joining today kind of a perspective on the type of work we do and how our construction program and other things relate. Also want to talk about our plans moving forward for road improvements. I know it's on probably the majority of people's mind around the country, around the state, in terms of how well our roads are improving, again, relative to others. Want to talk about our strategic plan. That's been a major initiative of ours here these last few months, and I think it's a reflection of not only our mission, but our priorities and our plans moving forward. But first of all, I want to talk about our people, the people of the Kent County Road Commission. You know, many times I think when folks think and hear about the Road Commission, they think of two things. One, the orange barrels of summer construction season. Secondly, I think they think about the green trucks that travel our roadways performing winter maintenance. But really, the majority of our work, the majority of work that our people perform each and every day, much of which goes unnoticed. It's the pothole patching, it's sign and signal upgrades and repairs, it's guardrail improvements and repairs, it's taking care of the ditches to get the water off the road, it's replacing culverts, it's managing the vegetation along the sides of the road, trees and brush trimming, mowing the grass. This is the type of work that our people perform each and every day. It's that critical infrastructure work that needs to happen to keep Kent County moving. And I couldn't be more proud of the 230 men and women of the Kent County Road Commission, because they've answered the call. Again, we've all been challenged by COVID-19, but many of these people don't have the opportunity to work remotely. They need to be out in traffic, on the roads, taking care of our infrastructure needs in order for us to get to work, to get to school, to perform those things that we need to do to keep our economy alive and moving forward. So again, I wanted to begin with recognizing our critical infrastructure workers. Again, the 230 plus men and women of the Kent County Road Commission, as well as typically each and every year, 50 to 60 part-time workers. So I wanted to recognize them. But as we look at our expenditures, another point that I'd like to make is, again, many people think of the Kent County Road Commission or road agencies in general, and they think about construction and the amount of money that it takes to rebuild and resurface our roads, and that's certainly a big part of our budget. In our expenditures, in 2020, for example, about 41% of our expenditures were for those major road improvements. So less than half of our budget. And much of that work is done by private contractors. We do a lot of the design work, we do a lot of the inspection work, but in terms of the total volume of expenditures, much of that is privatized to contractors. So the majority of what we spend our dollars and cents on are things like that routine maintenance. We have nearly 2,000 miles of road to maintain. Those are county roads, or county primary roads, or county local roads. Almost 2,000 miles that we need to maintain. Well, that means there's 4,000 miles of road shoulders that need to be maintained as well. We need to keep the water off the road. We need to keep the drainage clear. We have some 30,000 signs around the county up and down those 2,000 miles of road. They need to be repaired. They need to be upgraded according to national and state standards. Most of those miles have pavement markings on them, and those need to be redone generally each and every year. I mentioned the mowing, the tree trimming along those 4,000 road edges, and obviously drainage work. You can see that winter maintenance is also a big part of our budget. We need all of that equipment is necessary, are some 100 snowplow trucks, but also about 100 pieces of heavy equipment, motor graders, excavators, backhoes, a lot of that heavy equipment that's needed to, again, keep that routine maintenance work done. So it's, again, we are making great strides, I think, in terms of road improvements. We go to the next slide, and you can see that I wanted to bring your attention to what the condition of our roads are since 2015. That's significant because that's when there was a statewide increase in transportation funding. Rather significant $1.2 billion program across the state. And some of that money came to Kent County, and we are trying to put that money into road improvements. So we have a plan, and you can see that that plan is beginning to show positive results. So in 2015, for our primary road system, some 670 miles, our primary road system, our good and fair rating of that network was about 69% in good and fair condition, which incidentally, compared to the statewide average, was higher than the statewide average. But we made a promise, we made a plan that we were going to invest those additional dollars into road improvements. And so by 2020, following our plan, you can see that that good fair condition average was 75%. And we are projected to reach 90%. We are on track to reach 90% by 2025. So on the right hand of this side, you can see that we have, in those orange bars, targets each and every year according to that plan. And that for many of these past years, we've exceeded those targets. However, in 2020, we saw a reduction in revenue. We saw a drop, significant drop in vehicle miles traveled. We also saw a significant drop in registration fees. So that combined meant that last year we weren't able to hit that target, but we are, in general, on average, still on pace to reach our goal of 90% by 2025. I'm hoping this year will be better, and right now indications are that we'll able to reach those targets. I draw your attention to our website. We have our budget on there. We have our road improvement plans. And it's a great source of information for tracking some of what we're doing. But I will add that our revenues are still down this year compared to what our previous projections were. Moving on to the next slide here. The majority of our road system, I mentioned 2,000 miles of road. The majority of our road system, about 1,300 miles, are roads that we share in sort of a partnership arrangement with our townships. Those are called local roads, about 1,000 miles of which are paved. But in Kent County, we still have about 335 miles of gravel roads that we need to maintain. And again, some of that work and some of the funds necessary to accomplish that work are shared with the townships. And we have a very cooperative relation with the townships. We generally, compared to other road commissions around the state, participate on a cost share basis more generously than many other road commissions around the state. And that's been a legacy of the Kent County Road Commission, and certainly something that existed before I became managing director. And I'm proud to say that the townships through that program have been steadily increasing their contributions to improvements on those local roads. And as you can see, in 2016, we went from about a $4 million cost share to now it's well over $6 million cost share with those townships. And that's despite the fact that none of our townships to date have dedicated millages. Those are dollars that they make decisions each and every year to contribute to local road improvements. We work very closely with our townships. We provide them data on condition. We provide recommendations on where to make some of those road improvements. And again, I couldn't be more proud and happy of the relationship that we maintain with our 21 townships here in Kent County. I want to wrap up and just talk a little bit about our strategic plan. Again, we spend a lot of time thinking about the future here, Kent County Road Commission. The future next year, the year after, we generally, for our planning and scheduling purposes, are thinking about 10 years in advance. And so we have certainly objectives that we try to adhere to as we move forward into the future and build our budget. I already mentioned the top one there, where we're trying to reach 90% of our primary roads in good and fair condition by 2025. We want to maintain and sustain that cost share program with our townships. There's still a lot of work to be done. Many of our roads are subject to seasonal weight restrictions, and we're systematically going through that network and trying to rebuild some of those major commercial corridors so we can eliminate those seasonal weight restrictions. Those are very expensive fixes. Those are the types of fixes where we're actually not only removing the pavement surface, but we're removing the sublayers and material underneath that. And we're rebuilding those roads to a higher standard. Generally, those are anywhere from $1 million to $2 million a mile. So part of our objective, again, and if you look at our budget, you can see in there, but we've got a few of those reconstruction miles this year. We're also sensitive to the context at which a roadway travels through an area. Again, we work with the public and public information meetings and public hearings. We work with our townships to ensure that there are certain design features that are sensitive to the context at which that road travels through. Sometimes they're in areas where there's commercial activity or residential activity or community centers where we need to incorporate features such as bike paths or pedestrian facilities. So we're very sensitive to that and work closely with our local partners to make sure those roads fit that character. Certainly, the future looks like we're going to see more and more automation in intelligent vehicles and intelligent vehicle systems. And so we are working with the industry to make sure that our systems are designed to help accommodate that in the future. But like most other agencies, we'll be challenged to maintain that highly qualified workforce. We see turnover as any other agency, and we're trying very hard to recruit the very best to provide the very best service we can here in Kent County. Finally, we took a survey of the community this year, and we put out a survey through our social media and on our website, and we invited the public to give us comments and reactions to our strategic plan. I'm very pleased that just about every comment was positive and supportive of the direction that we're moving in. We heard again loud and clear that people are looking to have those existing roads maintained well and improved. That's not only, I think, the case here in Kent County, but throughout the state and throughout the country. But we wanted to make sure that what we were doing was aligned with our stakeholders and the public in general. And I feel very confident, based on those survey results and the feedback that we had, that we're on track. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Do we have questions for Steve today? Commissioner Jones?
Thank you, Chair Bolter. Well, Steve, I've now been a commissioner for 7 years, and one of my favorite memories is talking with you about the road commission and what you do. And you had a great quote. I still use it. You said, "Good roads cost money and bad roads cost more." And
That's right.
I get this pretty regularly from our constituents, as I'm sure other commissioners do, which is road commission questions, and then we let them know that our board appoints the road commission board, but after that, you are a standalone entity with your own funding sources, but our influence is in appointing the board. And I want to commend you and your staff for the phenomenal job you do in working with us. I've had multiple meetings with Jerry, with constituents, with road issues. You are accessible, you are available, you are prompt with your responses, and it really makes a difference. Great big gold star on the parade that you did recently with your vehicles. It was a social media hit. I know on my Facebook, numerous pictures lit up with the parade of vehicles that went through the area, so I really enjoyed that. My question is for you to just take a minute and give us an update on your building, because you're going to be moving. If you could tell us where you're going, when, and what's going on with the old building.
Well, again, thank you for those comments. They're very kind, and again, we take great pride in being responsive to the community. It's a wonderful thing that we do and provide service to the citizens and businesses of Kent County, and it's certainly our pleasure. Yes, the Kent County Road Commission is located on Scribner Avenue, north of Leonard Street. We occupy 14 and a half acres, and it may be surprising that includes 1,100 feet of frontage along the Grand River. And here a few years ago, an opportunity presented itself to acquire 30 acres of property up at the Walker View Industrial Park, just north of the Walker interchange at I-96. We purchased that property with the objective of at some time, we needed to expand our site. This area has served us very well, but we really needed a site and supporting facilities that really represented about twice the size. We're constrained here by the size of the property, and we really needed to expand our operations as Kent County expand. So I've gone through a process here, and decided to move forward. The board here this last fall made the decision to move forward with a new facility at Walkerview. That facility will include a garage that's nearly twice the size of our existing garage. A more modern salt and chemical storage building, a vehicle wash building, but administrative offices that are probably 30 to 35% smaller. So we're modernizing our operation to provide, again, better service, expanded service as Kent County continues to grow. We're in a partnership arrangement with the City of Grand Rapids. The city and Kent County Road Commission are currently operating under an option agreement. I'm fully expecting that the city will exercise that option and move part of their operation to this facility. They tend to repurpose this facility to provide support for, I think, DPW, for some of their transportation operations, parks. So it's a partnership with the city that will allow them to move off of their river frontage down on Market, relocate their operations here, which again provides us the opportunity to move to Walkerview. So it's I guess from my perspective, it's an opportunity that sort of from the public-private relationship frees up a lot of development potential down here or downtown, and provides us the opportunity to expand and improve our operations at Walkerview.
Great. Looks like I have about 3 more questions. Commissioner LeGrand.
Thank you, Chair. I have 2 questions. My first one is, can you just give us an example of those economic support network roads, the ones that you're trying to rebuild so that we don't have the seasonal weight restrictions? What would be some examples of those roads?
One good example is 100th Street. 100th Street at the southern part of the county, that particular road carries a lot of heavy commercial traffic. There's sand and gravel mining down in that area, east-west, to get it over to 131. That's a project that we're doing this year. We're doing a couple stretches of 84th Street. So again, we're not able to afford to do too many miles each year, but those are a couple examples right there.
And is the seasonal restriction, which season are we restricting travel in? Excuse me.
Sorry for the jargon. When I think of seasonal weight restrictions, it's each and every spring, we typically have to impose weight restrictions on these corridors. Generally, commercial traffic needs to reduce their roads by about 1/3. So they can't travel on the roads with as much goods or material in their trucks as they normally would. So it's a restriction. There's also speed restrictions. But the reason why that's done is to reduce sort of the heavy pounding that those roads receive, because they're very vulnerable in the spring. They're generally, the frost hasn't gone out of the ground yet, so that water just kind of saturates that pavement, saturates that subbase, and it's very susceptible to heavy truck movements on those roads. And by rebuilding them to a higher standard, we're able to put more sand, more submaterial underneath there to withstand some of that heavy load.
Great. Thank you. It's really interesting. My other question was one of the comments that you put up on the screen there, where someone appreciated the paved shoulders for cycling. And it just makes me wonder, I served on the Vital Streets Oversight Commission for the City of Grand Rapids, so I'm familiar with Grand Rapids' commitment to Vision Zero, which is zero traffic-related fatalities. And I'm just wondering about how much of our road design or projects is dictated by that sort of safety concern. I know we've seen a boom in cycling, and so I don't know how much of that is affecting what we do with roads, or whether that just happened to be happening for some other reason, the widening of the shoulders. But how much are we taking into account safety issues like that?
Well, safety is certainly our number one concern whenever we design, rebuild, resurface a road. Again, we typically go through and do safety audits before we make any major improvement to see, is there an accident history? Is there something going on with that particular corridor where we need to make specific improvements? That said, it's sort of a general practice of ours that as we are rebuilding some of these major corridors, again, usually along our primary road network, we're trying to put those 4-foot shoulders in automatically. Sometimes we make them even wider. There's been instances where townships have even contributed more because that particular roadway corridor is a vital link between some of their trail network. And so they've actually paid the difference to add another 2 feet. So in some cases, we have 6-foot shoulders. But shoulders not only provide some of those non-motorized type facilities, they also help protect the roadway itself. So having that shoulder along that edge of the roadway protects the edge of the roadway and helps to keep it in better condition. And certainly that shoulder provides kind of a safe haven for disabled vehicles or for rural mail delivery, or people just stopping off the edge of the road to fix a flat tire. So we see the benefit of paved shoulders. We try to put them in where we can, but it's an expense too. So, but we've got, with these efforts over the last few years, we've got about 300 miles of roads with paved shoulders, so.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Morgan.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hey, good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
I have a comment and a question, real quick. I just certainly appreciated the relationship with the Road Commission over my tenure. Second thing I want to ask is, I want to circle back. I'm kind of a budget guy. You said in your presentation you're running a deficit of your budget this year. Did I understand that right?
No, not a deficit. We are seeing, based on earlier projections, sort of pre-pandemic projections for revenue, we're seeing that those revenues are down. So
you're just falling short on your
we're looking at from the Michigan Transportation Fund, probably about $56 million. That number is less than what was originally projected several months ago.
Oh, okay. And just an observation, I've seen a lot of green trucks on the freeways during the winter season. You don't only take care of and plow the local roads, are you on the freeways? And I think that's kind of unique.
Yes, we are, and I failed to mention that during my comments and talk about expenditures, but we have, we're under contract with the Michigan Department of Transportation to maintain all of the state trunk lines here in Kent County. Incidentally, that represents about 430 plus miles of interstate, M routes, US routes, so anywhere from the East Beltline and 28th Street to I-96 and 131. Our green trucks are the first responders when it's snowing to get out there and keep those major corridors free and clear. We also work a lot on guardrail repairs, pothole patching. So we have a significant contractual relationship with MDOT.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Commissioner Bolkowski.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, Steve, thanks for all your work and kind of, you following up on that comment about the M roads and such. You mentioned the partnership with the City of Grand Rapids related to your current facility. Are there other ways you collaborate with the 9 cities in the county and villages? You mentioned, a great partnership with the townships, but, how do you all collaborate beyond that?
Yeah, I appreciate asking that question, Dave. I would say that we lead the area in terms of collaboration, cooperation with those municipalities. When it comes to, we host meetings here at our facility to bring our municipal partners in. We talk about trying to maintain uniform levels of service so that one jurisdiction isn't necessarily doing more or less than another, recognizing that people don't always know when they're going from a township into a city and back out again. So we try to maintain uniform levels of service. We also provide mutual aid and assistance when other municipalities are in need. We collaborate with them on road improvements. I think another area where we lead is a lot of joint purchasing. Many of the municipalities join in on our bid for salt and other materials. So we're able to bundle different services and purchases and really make it of benefit to all of us. So yeah, it's one of the great things about living and working in Kent County is the level of cooperation that we have. I think it's part of our culture, it's part of our values here in West Michigan, and it definitely pays dividends when it comes to maintaining our roads.
All right. Looks like we have 2 more
Thanks,
questions.
Steve.
Commissioner Wooden?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Mr. Warren. Quick question. I saw, you mentioned previously the new central complex that you're going to be constructing, and I actually saw when preparing for our next special order of business, the financial overview, a reference that the Road Commission will be issuing about $25 million in bonds within the next 18 months to finance the construction. And I was wondering, how much of that does the Road Commission intend to pay off through the sale of the property alone? How much do they intend to finance with their own revenues they get through PA 51? And how much will the Road Commission, if any, come back to us to ask for general funds to pay that debt service?
Well, I appreciate the question. Our intention is to not come back to Kent County and ask for any general funds related to this building. So our budget estimate right now for the full construction of the new central complex is $50 million. So 25 of that is through bond proceeds. The remaining 25 million is through a combination of things. We've been budgeting over the last few years, saving money, if you will, to pay cash down for the new facility. So we're looking at financing half and paying cash, if you will, for the second half. You mentioned our arrangement with the city of Grand Rapids. We're expecting about $7.5 million with the sale of this facility, which is part of that cash that we're putting forward to the project. So, but I think we're well on our way. Our financial model is sound. We're under construction with phase 1. We will pay for phase 1 without any bond proceeds. Phase 2, the most expensive part of the project, that's where we will be using those bond proceeds for phase 2, which is the big part of the project. That's the garage, 135,000 square foot garage, as well as a smaller but more efficient admin building. So
Sure. Commissioner Wooden, you have a
I
follow-up?
hope that answers your question.
You have a
Just
follow-up?
one quick follow-up then, just to make sure I heard you correctly. The payment of the debt service on the bond proceeds, though, will also be, in the future, will be coming from Road Commission revenues directly.
Yeah. Yes, again, our revenue projections indicate, well, right now, again, our MTF, the Michigan Transportation Fund receipts, our allocation is between 50 and $60 million over the next several years. So those dollars would go to pay off those bonds. And we're looking at probably a 15-year amortization of that debt. And I think our budget is sound and able to make that payment with no problem, so.
All right, one last question, Commissioner Steck.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
First, welcome to the city of Walker. Glad to have you. So a couple of quick questions on some of this timing. Can you just talk a little bit about what the timing of Phase 1, Phase 2 in your transition is? And then the second is the sale to the city of Grand Rapids, is that still conditional or has that been confirmed?
Let me talk a little bit about the phasing. So again, we wanted to proceed with Phase 1. We are under construction right now. If you drive down 4 Mile east of Walker, you'll see big piles of sand, a lot of earth moving going on. But that first phase is really coming off of North Ridge. So that's the southern part of the project. That'll be a new salt and chemical storage building. Incidentally, that will house about 6,000 tons of salt and about 20,000 gallons of other liquid material that we use for winter maintenance. Also, a lot of equipment storage along the sides, along lean-tos. There's a vehicle wash building to help us maintain our fleet in the best possible condition, as well as a cold storage facility. You add all that up, that's about a 15 million of the 50 million in total expenditures. Again, we're proceeding with that. With regard to Phase 2, we're hoping to go out for bid. Our schedule is to go out for bid in July and receive and award those bids in August. So we'll be under contract for Phase 2 later this summer. The option agreement with the city of Grand Rapids, the city, according to the existing agreement, needs to decide to exercise that option by August the 12th. We're in discussions right now with the city on wrapping up their due diligence, looking at, they've been doing soil testing and evaluation of our site in terms of repurposing it. I feel very confident that the city will exercise its option to purchase this property, again, at about $7.5 million. So the timing is such that once they exercise that option, we'll be going out for bid on Phase 2. And so we're just working through some of the timing on that right now.
You good?
Yep, thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Steve. Just a couple little comments. My dad used to work for the road commission, and you all have the craziest stories. And one time I came home and there was a baby lamb in our living room because Dad found it on the side of the road. And so my comment to you for this year is to thank Jerry for helping us remove an obelisk in my district this past year and dealing with all that went on with an obelisk in the right-of-way of a major thoroughfare. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here. We really appreciate all you do. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Chair Bolter, and again, thank you to all the commissioners and the work of the administrator's office in supporting what we do. And it's a pleasure to, again, be here today.
Thanks, Steve, and bring a crazy story next time. I'm sure you guys could write a book.
Oh,
Have a
we've
great-
got plenty of them.
Yeah, have a great day. All right, we're
Thank
on
you.
to item 5B of our agenda, a 2021 financial overview from Jeff Dode, our Financial Services Director. Jeff?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me this morning. I will try to be brief and then answer any questions you may have. So, first of all, the annual financial overview is typically prepared in February-March timeframe. I'd like to thank Marvin Van Noordijk, my deputy, who is the primary author of this book. And the primary purpose, not only is it to overlay the financial condition of Kent County, but it's used in our annual rating agency meetings to confirm our ratings, typically for the DTAN bonds when we sell property tax notes. So those meetings, again, were held in April. The rating agencies, both Standard & Poor's and Moody's, received this book ahead of time, and it primarily answers probably 95% of their questions before they even have to ask them. So it's kind of outlined in that particular way to help the rating agencies understand the financials of Kent County. And Chair Bolter, I don't know if this has been officially announced, but I'll let you announce the results of those meetings real quick. So,
Double triple A per usual.
yeah, so, great job to the team. And we did those meetings remote again this year, given the circumstances. So I'll just go over a few quick page notes. The document is up. So page 5, we'll just start there. That's just the table of contents for the financial overview. As you'll note, it includes references to many facets of our financial profile, but it's a good place to go to, obviously, to understand the layout of the book. Next, if we go to page 13, just briefly, I want to mention the millage rates are all listed here. And you can see the county operating and then the special millages included in the overall millage rates for Kent County. Those are listed here in the historical levels of those millages as well. Next, on page 18, I'd like to look at the property tax collection history. You can see the county does a fabulous job of collecting taxes over time, and typically by the following year, we've been up over 99 or near 100% collection rate each and every year of our property taxes. So outstanding job collecting taxes throughout the county. Quickly on page 19, one of our larger revenue sources are from the state of Michigan. You can see about $20.2 million is estimated in 2021. Under the various categories, state revenue sharing is just over $9 million here. Local community stabilization, just under $3 million for court equity, 3.7 in liquor tax, and other grants is $1.5 million. So this is a category we watch closely when the state's doing their budget presentations and revenue estimates. We make sure they're going to continue to pay the county our dedicated resources. We'll move on quickly to page 33. There's a whole section in here on pooled cash and how much the treasurer's office maintains for the county. You can see on this page the total at this date was over $408 million that's invested in various places. So significant amounts of resources that are used obviously around the county and for cash flow purposes. Lastly, on page 38, that's where the general fund is primarily talked about. Just a note, we finished FY20 with a $1.7 million surplus, leaving us a fund balance at the end of the year of just $82.5 million. And then page 39 breaks out the how that fund balance is broken out into the different categories. So the remaining book has the additional major funds. We include our financial policies, which the rating agencies like to see, and then recent news articles outlining, trying to give them a little perspective on what's going on in our community. So it's a very quick overview, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff, for your report. I'm going to go to page 13, if I could, and see if I understand. The current maximum millage rate is 15 mills,
Correct, yes.
of which we actually, for county operating, is 4.22 mills.
4.22, correct, yes.
And then the combined effect of all of our dedicated millages is 1.98, or almost 2 mills?
Correct.
So do we use the other gap? Was that about 8.22 mills? Is that being used by anyone? If so, who? or is that available?
I don't believe it's available. It would have to be an increase in that, the county piece would have to be approved by the voters.
Right, I understand that, but if we, for example, did additional dedicated millages, they could be added on top of that up to a max of 15, or does that not eat up that 8.2?
I'd have to check with that, Stan. I'm not 100% sure.
That number, the 15 mills, is in combination with other millage those that.
Well, that's what I was wondering, who uses that?
Yeah, we'll get you that number, but that is encompassing more than just a county number, Jeff, so you may want to.
But that's not,
Yeah, I don't want to misspeak. I don't know if Matt Wolford, he handles the millage piece mostly, so.
that doesn't include school mills, because that would be a much higher number, but,
Correct, yeah.
Correct. We can get you that.
okay, thanks. Thank you.
Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just curious, following up on that, I'd like to know what our ranking is as far as our total millage burden of the dedicated county millage compared to the other 83 counties. Wondering if I could get a list and see how we rank.
We did that a couple of years ago. We could get that for you. I know Matt did that exercise, so we can provide that for you, Matt Wolford.
Thank you.
Good idea. Any other questions for Jeff today? All right, seeing none.
Madam Chair,
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Wooden.
it's all good. Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at the property tax collection history, I noticed that, while certainly, as you noted, we are able to utilize the DTANs and the other methods to get to a full collection or near full collection after the 3-year period. But I'm seeing there was at least a noticeable drop from of 1.5% from 2014 all the way down to 2020. And I'm wondering, if only because 1.5% of our levy is a considerable chunk of change, have we found any consistency in what's causing that reduction, is especially since the economy, with the exception of last year, has been growing at a pretty steady pace. And I was just wondering, have we done a little bit of a dive into the research into what's might be causing that reduction and what we could do to get that original collection rate back up a little bit?
I would, quite frankly, have to talk to the treasurer from what happened, if there was something specific in 2014. I could guess something about the Great Recession at that point. That was, 4 or 5 years after the Great Recession is typically when the property taxes, catch up. So I'd have to do some research on that particular piece. But we've been pretty constant, just over 93, around 93%. And actually, the DTAN amounts were actually lower this year than last year. So so I know the collection rate this year was a little higher than last year. So.
Fantastic, thank you.
Any, Commissioner Steck?
Sorry, thank you, Chair. I had one other one, if I could ask Jeff. On page 15, there's a great graph there that sort of depicts the growing tension between our taxable value and assessed value as a percentage. If I'm understanding where we're going in this market, that gap is likely to increase over the coming years. That is, our property values seem to be exponentially increasing, and inflation appears to be holding, but we'll see. But at any rate, it suggests that that's going to be growing. What is the risk? Where's that going to take us eventually as those numbers get to the point where it's below 75 or 70 or even 60%?
Guys, asking all these tax questions today. Where's the treasurer when I need him? No. I guess I agree with you. I think that gap's going to continue. I think after the Great Recession, you saw that gap almost whittle away because of the compression of the values of the houses. I guess the main risk is there's the limit of taxable growth to the percent of CPI each year. So while SEV can have this huge increase, which you see it here, the taxable is always limited, and that's the Headley Amendment in Proposal A will always limit that taxable growth period. So while all these great sales are happening, we don't see the full benefit of that because of the taxable piece is fixed at a certain rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me posit a possible interpretation or a problem. As this gap gets greater, when a piece of property sells, it's sort of uncapped, right? And it goes back to its actual value.
Correct.
Is that going to suppress sales because of the consequence that as that gap's could be larger and larger?
It's potentially could. However, right now, people seem to be way overpaying even the appraised values. So, but appraisers can't chase sales either, so they do an overall market study. So I guess it's going to really depend on the individual's appetite to be able to afford the property taxes on where they're at. Because obviously, if they're paying that cap, yeah, obviously the current homeowner, if they've been there 20 years, may be paying $2,000 in taxes. If they sell, the new owner may be paying $3,000 in taxes, so a potential 50% increase. I'm making up those numbers, but it's definitely an impact for buyers to look at when they're making those purchase decisions for sure.
Yeah, it just seems like we're going into territory that we haven't been in before. I'm not sure we know all the consequences of that.
We don't. Sales right now are crazy. Yeah, I mean, people are overbidding properties every day.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jeff? None in virtual world, so we are good. Thanks, Jeff, so much.
Yep.
Thanks for all your work. It is pretty awesome to see our great fiscal team work in front of the rating agencies, and just, you guys do such a great job, and it's nice to hear they're really, really complimentary to our staff, so thanks for all your work. All right, we're on to item 6, public comment related to the agenda. Pam or Natasha, do we have anything in the email?
There's nothing in the email.
Hands raised. All right, we'll move on to consent agenda. I will call on Commissioner LeGrand for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move the consent agenda for today's meeting.
Moved by Commissioner LeGrand, support by Commissioner
Support by Wooden.
Wooden. Wooden, questions or comments on the consent agenda? Don't see anything here in the room. Don't see any hands raised. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt the consent agenda, Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Burl. Green,
Yes.
Hennessy. Jones. Coleman. LeGrand.
Yes.
McLeod.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Skaggs. Sparks.
Yes.
Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Teal. Womack.
Yes.
Wooden. Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 19 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. The consent agenda is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to item 8 of our agenda, resolutions, and I'll call on Commissioner Wooden for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move adoption of Resolution 47 of today's date to authorize the summer 2021 general operating property tax levy. It comes to us from Fiscal Services.
Moved by Commissioner Wooden, support by Commissioner
Support by Sparks.
Sparks. Questions or comments on Resolution 47? See none in the room. See none online. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 47, Commissioners Antor,
Yes.
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hennessy. Jones. Coleman. LeGrand.
Yes.
McLeod.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Stein,
Yes.
Skaggs. Sparks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Steck. Commissioners Teal,
Yes.
Womack,
Yes.
Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 19 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. Resolution 47 is adopted.
Great, thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to item 9, public comment related to any county matter. I don't have anyone here in the room today. I see no one online. Do we have anyone in the email inbox today? No. All right, we're gonna move on to commissioner reports. Do we have reports today? Commissioner Steck.
Thank you, Chair Volter. The Senior Millage Allocation Committee met again this week, and we are gearing up for another funding year decision process, so we're looking forward to that. As many of you know, that's about $12 million of dedicated millage money that we allocate across as many as 50 different programs. Interesting, we got a report that our RideLink system is implementing a new technology that mimics what Uber and Lyft use. So that allows us to increase our efficiency in providing rides across the county, up to 44% increase in efficiency, which is a great stride. So looking forward to making those decisions and those long meetings over the course of the fall and into November.
Thank you, Commissioner Steck. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. Just a handful of things. The Kent County Supervisors did meet, heard from the right place, which was a very similar presentation to what we had heard already, so that was a good refresher for me. Wanted to thank everyone for the Parks Foundation event that came out Saturday, May 1st at Wabas's. The predominant groups were the Boy Scouts and our prosecutor's office. And the groups were supported by the foundation. We ended up with lunches and snacks and scraped and painted, stained over 100 picnic tables that all were in desperate need of that. So if you head out to Wabas's and enjoy a lovely picnic event this Memorial Day weekend, please know that there was a bunch of volunteers that helped make all that go smoothly. And what a great turnout overall. And again, encouraging every commissioner who might have a passion for a particular park, you are welcome to connect with myself and Sam Moore to do something similar at a park near you. And he will help promote it and work with our volunteer coordinator and add something where people can give their time instead of always asking for money to help make a difference. I want to just add too that I went to the West Michigan Sports Commission event where we revealed the new naming of the ballpark. That's now the Myers Sports Complex out on 10 Mile in Rockford. That's 8 ball fields that we've had since 2014. So it is fabulous to watch our community partners still work with us and step up and take on those naming rights. So that is a big help, and those are my reports for today.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones, and all your work on those picnic tables, especially when she puts her mind to something that it gets done. So she texted me about that about 9 months ago. So good work, Commissioner Breivy.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. I have a couple reports here. The first comes from the airport. You all received a communication from Tori Richardson, but I just wanted to highlight a couple ideas here from that. And the first, the recovery trajectory from GRR is above the national average by about 10%. So that means we're doing a little better than many of the other airports and communities. The goal would be to get some more business traffic coming through, and that would really help increase our flights. And one of the things that's happening is I think Delta recently added a direct flight to New York LaGuardia. So I believe that was New York LaGuardia, but that is just a highlight, and that's kind of a sign that business traffic is coming. So another thing too that we're going to be hearing here at the Board of Commissioners, it'll first go through finance, but yesterday at our airport board meeting, we approved some bond refunding or refinancing. We have a bond that's callable in July, and by refinancing that, we could save about $2.3 million in debt service. So I think you guys all know I like to save here, and so I think it's a good thing. There's 7 years remaining on the bond. The other thing here too that's currently under construction is the FIS, and that is a federal inspection center, and that's been funded by state and federal grants, and it's currently under construction. It'll add a 4th baggage claim, and the airport's currently working with Customs for a commitment from them, and it will also allow for international arrivals into our airport here in West Michigan. The second board I have a report from is DPW. Next week, we'll have a hybrid meeting on June 3 at 8:30, and the topic will be our 2022 operations budget. We'll have public comment related to the budget, and then also approve the budget. So we'll be seeing some tip fee rate increases, likely at Waste to Energy, and those are needed to cover necessary improvements. For today.
Thanks, Commissioner Brevy. Commissioner Morgan.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to the airport report that we have had our first meeting with Eagle on a administrative settlement meeting, and we should hear back from them in about 90 days. And my understanding is that we do have a meeting scheduled with the officials from Cascade Township just to meet with them and hear their concerns. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bolkowski.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, if you hear like a chainsaw in the background, I think Commissioner Morgan's outside my window chopping down some trees. That being said, just wanted to follow up on a report you all got from friend of the court. It was just kind of a mysterious looking standard annual report that we submit to the State Court Administrator's Office. So it just reports on the grievances that we handle and address. So, I mean, again, if you read that and it looked kind of sparse in details, that's just what the requirements are. Things are going really well with the friend of the court and like everybody else, you know, doing their preparations for opening back up and the like. So that's what's happening with the friend of the court advisory committee.
Great, thank you. Any other official reports today? All right, seeing none, let's move on to Commissioner Miscellaneous. Do we have miscellaneous today? Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. Just one more parks note. I had a resident call that was somewhat distraught because he had a graduation party planned for June. For those who don't know, any indoor events for the parks are not happening with the state limit on 50% capacity. The decision was advised by legal not to open our indoor until the state gives the all clear with 100% capacity. So I did hear from a graduation party that's happening at the end of June that we'll have to reschedule. They do have the option to go outside, but they cannot use the inside, and the parks is working with everyone to refund any deposits that were given. But I just wanted to let everyone know if you also get those calls, that's what's on the radar and why. I had some time myself at the airport and how fabulous it was to be back at the airport, and more than happy to contribute over $100 to the parking. Hopefully that continues to help support that fabulous parking structure. I'm sure it's appreciated. And then letting everyone know, we do have the CAA work session that I will be chairing after this board meeting. Is that set for 10, Pam?
Correct.
So we'll start at 10 for that. And just please note, that is an entire board work session. Everyone is welcome to continue that dialogue and learn more information on as we unpack some of the CAA components.
All right, any other commissioner miscellaneous today? Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. Many of you may have seen, but I just wanted to announce some news from my employer. For my day job, we have a new CEO, or we will be having a new CEO at Dwelling Place at the end of July. Denny Sturdivant, after 30 years, or over 30 years of manning the wheel, is retiring, and his successor is Jeremy DeRue from Link. Jeremy has been a pillar in the community development community here in Grand Rapids and Kent County, and just thoroughly excited to see him take on those reins, and certainly sad to see a mentor of mine retire, though I am excited for his opportunities as he goes into this next stage of his life.
Great. Any other miscellaneous today? I don't see any hands raised and see no one in virtual. I just have a couple things. First, I wanted to say that I look forward to all of us being in person as soon as possible. I hope that people are encouraged to come in. It's very comfortable in here and roomy and friendly, and we've really enjoyed, I think those in the room have enjoyed seeing each other. But I also am hoping that we can get back to our normal seating arrangement by the next meeting. So I apologize to those that were all spaced. It's just a very confusing time, but to that end, I would really like to acknowledge Pam and Natasha and Al and Cody today for all their work. It is so difficult for them to try to constantly keep up with all of the changes and trying to figure out all 19 of us and who's coming and who isn't and where they're sitting. So just really, really, really appreciate all their work and hope that's hope I'm speaking for everyone. And then lastly, one of my most exciting announcements is to welcome our new Chief Inclusion Officer, Teresa Branson, who's back in the back of our room. And just kind of wanted to highlight, I almost feel like this role is tailor-made for you, and Teresa has just an amazing, we talk about branding sometimes, an amazing brand in the community, and we're so lucky that you are representing our county. She has 24 years of experience in public health, but I did want to read one thing, just her bio is, of course, amazing, but just to read quickly, she has worked closely with the Kent County Human Resources Department to deliver equity dialogue workshops for the county departments and employees. She's also one of several certified Kent County trainers that deliver cultural intelligence training for county employees, and recently was certified to deliver implicit bias training for staff through the Cultural Intelligence Center. She's a longstanding member of the Kent County Cultural Insight Council and served on the Kent County Executive Committee to develop the previous Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategic Plan. And that's just one little piece of her 24 years of experiences in public health and as our deputy health officer. So I think we really hit a home run. Good job, Wayman. But we really appreciate you and welcome you and appreciate your willingness to represent us. So with that, I will call on Commissioner LeGrand for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we adjourn our meeting, subject to the call of the chair, until Thursday, June 10, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. for an official meeting.
Moved by Commissioner LeGrand, support by Commissioner
Support by Brevi.
Brevi. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County.
Beya, Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.